Have you checked the children? You're a little mad sometimes.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes that is better.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Long days and pleasant nights, fellow travelers, along the path of the beam. I am known on this level of the tower as Jaime Fuego, and if it please you, join me here for a bit of palaver on Hail to Stephen King! That's Reezy Peeps, and obviously, bienvenidos and welcome to the horror show. And yes, King being my favorite author, as you can see by the Tower of Tones behind me, yes, this is a show that has been going for over 270 episodes. It just kind of boggles my mind at this particular point that so much has transpired. It's pretty inspiring and very cool, but more so because of the fact that all of you, whether joining and stumbling upon this randomly or having been supporters for a lengthy period of time, so significantly appreciated. And yes, as you guys will probably, for those who have been watching for a while, I am repping my beloved son's hardcore in pretty much every recent video that I have done. But that is not what we are here to talk about today. So a shout out to the peeps behind the Stephen King Dollar Baby Film Festival that was recently put together. It was about a month or so ago now, maybe even a little bit longer. But then, you know, time is still, even as we get back into a little bit more normality, so to speak. Yeah, I mean, stuff still just feels a little bit out of whack. But yes, it was a very cool showcase that transpired. And it was showing a bunch of newer and, in a few cases, older selections from this really tight, badass program, awesome, rad status stuff that Stephen King has been doing since the early 80s, where basically he allows amateur or student filmmakers to option a film to actually adapt it, you know, from his glorious, illustrious line of work for a single $1. Yeah, a doll hair, guys. And yes, he's been doing it for decades at this particular point. I have mentioned a few times that there are two that I have aspired to make, the logistics of which are relatively difficult, being The Reach and Willa, which are two of my all-time favorite Sai King short stories. Those are the two, if I could make a Dollar Baby, they would be my dream projects and stuff. And yeah, he has the list constantly updated on his website. And so that's something to keep in mind for any aspiring filmmakers that might have stumbled upon this, or for those who have been brooding and just waiting and wanting to for a lengthy period of time. And yeah, man, it's really cool that he does this program. Sadly, it's not a lot of the more prominent stuff, and that's because the more prominent stuff, and even short stories, are tied up with, you know, like larger studios and bigger money trying to adapt them and make it into, and just milk that, you know, Sai King property into something. And so, I mean, yeah, if you consult the list, there's a lot that you have seen done various times, like time in and time out, stuff like Cain Rose Up, stuff like One for the Road, even Last Rung on the Ladder has been done quite a few times. And so just finding a different riff and a different approach to the short story adaptations was what was really cool about the Dollar Babies Film Festival. Unfortunately, those could only have that initial broadcast, and then psh, dunzo. But when the program was first started, and I've been waiting to do this video for a while because I was trying to obtain a physical copy of this mofo, and that is Disciples of the Crow. Now, interestingly enough, I had been sitting on this other of the Night Shift collection for a while. These were at least both King adaptations. So on this one, you have the Boogeyman, which was directed by Jeff Shiro, and then you have the very heralded and kind of allowed him to eventually adapt Stephen King on a more grandiose fashion, The Woman in the Room by Frank Darabont. And then on this one, though, this is where it's a little peculiar to me because of the fact that it says a feature from Stephen King's Night Shift collection, which is Disciples of the Crow, adapting Children of the Corn. But then you also have 1988 Emmy Award winner The Night Waiter by Jack Garrett, which has no connection to anything Stephen King. So I'm not going to be talking about The Night Waiter despite having rewatched you know, all of these recently and stuff. But yes, I do still have a VHS player. I am one of those, and that's because I have some weird, obscure stuff from like the 80s, a couple weird Pinocchio movies, and I've got some old like bootleg VHS like concerts of Guns N' Roses and Black Sabbath stuff that still has not migrated and found its way over to YouTube or wherever else people consult for stuff like that. So yeah, as the King completist, it's pretty cool to have these. But let's go in the release order, okay? And so if I'm not mistaken, the well, actually, now that I think about it, I'm trying to remember which was the first to be released, and I'm just realizing that this has some marker written on the front of it from a previous owner. Gotta love that, you know, just you know, maintaining your ownership and stuff. But so there was a 82 release, an 83 release, and an 84 release. And if I'm not mistaken, the Boogeyman was actually the first that was done here in 1982. And since I've seen so many different adaptations of this at this particular point, including one that was recently done for, well, I don't know how recent it was, within the last few years at least, but that was showcased at the Dollar Baby Film Festival. This is one of the simpler Sai King stories from, you know, Night Shift, and it's about this guy who he's almost being kind of framed by this boogeyman, so to speak, and yes, because this you know, creature in the closet was responsible for the death of a few of his children. And this one, it is the weakest of the three, in my personal estimation, of these three that were officially physically released, okay? And so, yeah, you've got this this Pelon dude who he is being, you know, as I said, just thumbed for the just death of his children, and, you know, like crib stuff or whatever, because they are of a relatively younger variety. And it really, it still shows promise, and that is the one thing that I will definitely dictate and say about all three of these King adaptations in the first of the Dollar Babies, okay? There was still a sort of production prowess that was impressive. There really was. And even though you know, most of this, the predominance of it, of the Boogeyman, takes place in the apartment building where these kids are dying, and then also the office of the shrink who is analyzing him and trying to, you know, help him come to some sort of resolution, or at least, I don't know, just recompense, whatever. But walking him through the process, and yes, in an unprecedented bit here on Hail to Stephen King, you can watch the entirety of it right now.
taking a whole dozen of those cola bottles and taking a whole dozen and just... Fuck you. Oh, Jesus.
Rugby Road, report of a possible child abuse.
But is anyone hurt? You don't understand. We live right next door, and I wanted to come over and see her. She's a friend of mine. We've been friends for a long time, and I'd like to find out if anything...
Everything is going to be just fine. Okay, now why don't you just go home?
But you don't...
Watch your back.
Right? Oh, could you please? I want to talk to her. I have to talk to her. She's a friend of mine.
Go home and go to bed, okay?
You don't understand.
Forget it.
Hey, you better hold up with that until Gerlin has seen the body.
6 Charlie 9, Sergeant Gerlin will be arriving shortly. Please stand by.
10-4.
So afraid. So afraid to have her own room. I told you not to move her. After what happened to Denny.
I think, Mr. Billings, we should have a little talk. As I understand, Mr. Billings, you discovered the child's body. Well, is that right?
Yes.
How about your wife? Where was she at the time?
My wife was sleeping.
And where, Mr. Billings, was the body when you found it? Billings, where was the body?
In the bed.
In the bed? And what time was this?
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock. It's now 2:15. Are you telling me it took her an hour before you called the police? Answer me, Billings. Don't you find it rather strange that the same thing happened to you less than 3 months ago? Another crib debt, maybe. Answer me, Billings!
Dr. Harper. Your case is an extremely interesting one.
Look, Dr. Harper, there's no sense beating around the bush, okay? I was responsible for the deaths of my children.
You mean you actually killed them?
No! I didn't, but I was responsible. You see, they were murdered.
I see. Is there something wrong, Mr. Billings?
That door.
What? It's the closet.
Shall I open? No!
Tell me, Mr. Billings, exactly how were the children murdered?
Look, don't try to jerk it out of me. I'll tell you, okay? And I'm not one of your freaks who thinks he's Napoleon or something. I know you won't believe me. It doesn't matter. I just came here to get this off my chest, okay? Okay?
Who killed the children?
Boogeyman. Boogeyman killed him. Just came out of the closet and killed him. You think I'm crazy, all right. It's written all over you. But I don't care. Just to tell will be enough.
I'm listening.
It all started when Denny was almost 5. Sure was about 3 and, no, sure was about 4 and Andy was 3. Rita, Mia, that's my wife. We were sleeping.
Daddy! Daddy!
Well, I better get some warm milk.
Don't. Kid has to learn not to keep waking us up every time he's a bit thirsty. I'll go in and straighten him out.
Lester?
Daddy! Daddy!
Denny, what is the matter with you? Denny!
Boogeyman.
Now, who taught you that? Mommy? She teach you that? There's no such thing as the boogeyman. Now, come on. You just dream. Come on, lay down and go to sleep.
I can't. No, I
Listen,
can't.
you're
No,
gonna
I
wake up.
can't.
No, just stop it. You're gonna wake up Andy and she'll know. Will you just lay down?
Daddy!
I finally got him to calm down. And then went in and asked Rita why she wanted to teach the kid a word like boogeyman. Said she never taught him to say that.
Continue.
So anyway, later that night, Andy started crying. He did it every night, right on schedule. Luckily, Cheryl was staying over with Rita's mom. That's her only granddaughter. Anyway, I'm sure if she was here, she would have been whining, too. Kids, sometimes, you know, you could just... Anyway, like I was saying, Andy started crying. Rita got up. I got up and I went to the bathroom.
Would you go check in on Denny?
I need my sleep.
Here then. Lester. Here, tuck Andy in. Come on, Andy. Come on, Andy. Go back. Come on, come on. Come on, Andy.
What is the matter with you? You've been acting so funny. Now, what's the matter with you?
Did you know it was the boogeyman then?
No, not then. But I did notice one thing. It didn't mean much to me then, but my mind, it stored it away, see?
What was that?
The closet door was open. The closet door was open. Not much, just a crack. See, I knew I left it shut. See, there were dry cleaning bags in there. You know, a little kid messes around with those and...
Of course, but did you notice anything else?
Not then. See, things didn't become clear until much later. After we buried Denny, I moved Cheryl into his old room. Well, Rita fought a tooth and nail, but I had the last word. I mean, Rita still loved me. I mean, she knew her place. She knew her station in life. I mean, I'm the king of the castle, right? I mean, I loved having the kid in with us. But you can't get overprotective. You make a kid a cripple that way. I mean, I know. My mother, every time she used to take me to the beach, she'd say, you know, don't go out too far. You've only eaten an hour ago. Even look out for sharks, for Christ's sake. To this day, I cannot even go to the beach without I feel like I want to puke my guts out. So anyway, a few months passed. And then one night I'm putting Cheryl to bed, and she starts to scream and cry, "Boogeyman, Daddy, boogeyman." Well, that threw a jump into me. It was just like Denny. I wanted to move her back to her room.
But you didn't.
Well, I wasn't sure of anything. I mean, they called Denny's death a crib death. I mean, it could have been, I began to think. Maybe I was dreaming. We were so happy. What could happen?
This is Sergeant Gurley.
Oh, hello, John. How are you?
I received a report this morning on the Billings case.
Oh?
How could you
Possibly call it a crib death. What about the contusion on the back of the kid's neck?
Look, we're merely calling it crib death for lack of a better explanation. Any lawyer would tell you that those contusions could be caused by any number of things. In fact, in your own report, you have Mr.
Billings claiming?
I have Mrs. Billings claiming nothing.
Do you know why?
Take
Take it easy, John.
Because she's locked up in some institution. Do you think she doesn't know that her husband's a murderer?
Listen, John, my report is by no means conclusive.
It simply means that you won't be able to get anywhere with the case based on the medical evidence alone. You need more.
here's a tune that's been topping the charts for, well, about the last 2.5 weeks now. Little Eddie Smaldone and his big hit, Fire Breathing Devil.
Your touch is so gentle, your voice is so sweet. The feeling inside is so swell. You make me see why there's a God up above and a fire-breathing devil in hell. Was a time I was hoping that we'd be a pair till the end of all time, but the feeling's not there. Your touch is so gentle, your voice is so sweet. The feeling inside is so swell. You made me see why.
Now maybe if you think of a thing long enough and you believe in it, maybe it becomes real. Maybe all the things we were afraid of as kids, you know, the monsters like Frankenstein, huh? Wolfman, or Mummy. Maybe they were real. Falling up there to kill the kids that were supposed to drown in lakes or falling into gravel pits. Maybe.
Are you backing away from something, Mr. Billings?
I had a neighbor who stayed with Andy during the day. We kept house nights. I had Andy sleep in my room. I didn't want to move him. I was afraid to.
But you did move him, didn't you?
Yes, I moved him. Jesus Christ, you weren't fucking there. The 2 nights ago, started getting pulled. The closet doors came open. The noises, the sounds, shit. I knew it was over him because he was weaker. Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
We have a great deal to talk about, Mr. Billings. Come back tomorrow and we'll talk some more.
I haven't told the police yet. I'm afraid to what they think.
I'll speak to them.
But they already think I killed Cheryl. I know they do. I had to move her out of the bathtub. Imagine if they found it out. She's just a little kid. What was he gonna tell them? That the Boogeyman was playing games with me?
Oh, everything will be fine, Mr.
That's easy for you
Billings.
to say. You weren't even there.
Billings, come on. Be a good fellow. I
don't
promise.
want to.
We'll talk tomorrow, Mr. Billings. Come on.
No.
Really, have to go now. Come on. You go out, talk to the receptionist, and make an appointment for tomorrow.
I don't have any place to go.
See you tomorrow, Mr. Billings.
Mr. Harper, there's nobody there. Mr. Harper.
It is only a game, Mr. Billings.
Maybe if you think of a thing long enough and you believe in it, maybe it becomes real. Maybe all the things we were afraid of as kids, you know, the monsters like Frankenstein, huh? Wolfman, or Mummy. Maybe they were real. Real enough to kill the kids that were supposed to drown in lakes or falling into gravel pits. Maybe.
So yeah, without getting into super spoilers, guys, and thanks for being along for the journey here. Yes, I know the footage is grainy. You have to just take that with a grain of salt, the graininess with a grain of salt. But yeah, I mean, it's adequately acted, and the production value for a student film produced, you know, with the association of the New York New York Film Society or whatever, or the New York University, whatever it was. Yeah, it's not bad. Unfortunately, you don't really have much transpire until the big Twilight Zone-y conclusion, and so, yes, the twist and the tension that leads up to it, it's intriguing, it's impressive, and I actually prefer this to some of the later adaptations of this that I have seen, most notably the one, you know, no offense at all, obviously, but the one that was showcased at the Dollar Babies Film Festival. I actually prefer this one. I feel like there is a little bit more grit and heft to the performance of this grieving father who is aware of what's going on and just doesn't, and he feels overmatched and overwhelmed, and like there's nothing that he can really do to stop this fearsome force. And yes, I know the reveal and some of the quick edits that they go to right at the very end, it's probably not as satisfying as a lot of people would have liked, and that is actually a similar flaw that we get in the second film, the one that was released in 1983, which was the one that was a little bit more elusive for me to track down. I picked up this VHS for, I think, like maybe 10 bucks or something like that, you know, very, very cheap. And I actually did a little bit of bargaining, make offer sort of stuff on eBay to obtain this, because I've seen this go for like 40, 50 bucks, and thankfully I got it for less than 20, so that's not that bad, especially for something that, I mean, you can watch maybe in an even higher resolution and more easily on your computer, tablet, phone, whatever. But Disciples of the Crow, you know, this is one that directed by John Goodman, if I remember correctly, and he actually has a small role in the film in the second half of it, where because they start in 71, you know, in this town of Oklahoma, and then they jump forward 12 years, and the jump, especially if you're aware of the rules, so to speak, of Children of the Corn, it doesn't quite make sense, because dude definitely looks older than he should, but then again, isn't that what always happens in films, even of the student variety? But yeah, so Goodman really, he adapted it for the screen, so he wrote the screenplay. I believe he also produced it, edited it, directed it, and had that small role as the, you know, kid with the little, like, mole thing, that, you know, like, grown up kind of, so to speak. But I like the fact that they did at least flesh out a tiny bit of the backstory in the first half, because this is significantly shorter than both Woman in the Room, which we will get to here in a moment, and also excuse me, the Boogeyman. So there is less time to actually complete the process here, but yet I really enjoy this one up until the very end. And you guys can check it out right now, and you know, just see what you're thinking, and I will give some additional thoughts here afterwards.
Offer this corn to the glory of your almighty power. Offer any clean animal, but do not offer crows, because they are sacred.
How you doing, Billy? How's that frog I gave you?
Left to our instincts, our human nature is quite plain. We don't have to go to the movies to see it. We can see it right here in Jonah every day. It shows itself to be weak, immoral, filthy, and indecent. It is our human nature that causes us to get drunk, commit adultery, engage in other wanton sins and pleasures. But let the Spirit lead you. You are not subject to the law of the flesh.
You, sweetheart?
Oklahoma.
I know we're in Oklahoma, Bert, but where are we?
Well, you've got the map. Why don't you look it up? Or can't you read?
Do you suppose we could stop for cigarettes? Or does your almighty schedule say we have to go on until 2 o'clock like yesterday?
As far as I'm concerned, we can turn on right now.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Vicky! You see me? You hear me? What? I want you to go back to the car. Bring me the blanket and my shotgun.
Your shotgun?
Yes. I may have run him over, but I didn't stick this into him. Somebody did. Go on. Get it.
his house. But there's no room for the fornicator, no room for the coveter, no room for the defiler of corn.
Christ, that makes me sick.
What did he say?
Nothing worth listening to.
I didn't ask you if it was worth listening to. I asked you what he said.
I didn't hear it.
You didn't hear him say corn?
Corn?
You all right?
I will be, just as soon as we are out of Oklahoma. Let's take the body back to Newton.
What's wrong now?
What do you mean, what's wrong? This town is empty.
It just seems that way. They're probably all at a bean supper or something.
There's no one here.
Will you stop a minute?
I'll stop when we're going the other way. Now turn around. Where are you going?
To ask where everyone is. The sign says open.
Do you hear it?
Hear what?
Nothing. No people, nothing.
I hear kids, don't you?
Sure. Ask anybody. Pardon me, Dick, but can you tell us where everyone is?
Shut up.
Oh, still not talking, huh? Hey, look at this. Looks like they've been at that bean supper for quite a while.
I'm sure there's a logical explanation.
Why do you have to be so stubborn? You know there's something wrong here. Why can't you just admit it? Hasn't been a living soul in this town for years.
Put that thing down.
No. You play your games and I'll play mine.
If there are people in this town, they'd be here. You coming?
No. And if you're not back in 5 minutes, I swear I'll leave without you. No! Please, Bert! What are we gonna do, Bert?
How could this thing go on all these years? Why didn't somebody know about it? Unless that God they worship approves.
So yeah, getting a little bit of the backstory as far as 71 when the tide actually turned and these kids who were like boiling frogs and, you know, making these crazy concoctions and stuff like that, that's intriguing to me. And I did really like the build-up, and I also like the fact that, they properly captured, without being too mean about it, the bitchiness of the female character in this, which is very inherent in the short story, and it was significantly scaled back in the Linda Hamilton performance that we got the following year after this, ironically enough, and yet it still, as you saw, didn't have the balls to really give you the ending that we got in the short story or in the really solid sci-fi adaptation that was essentially a remake that came out, what, like 15, 16 years ago, something like that. I forget the exact release, but where the Sci-Fi Channel decided to, as opposed to making more sequels and more sequels and more sequels, and then we have this prequel that's coming out later this year that's still no official release date announced. But yeah, interesting, right? Interesting in the fact that, I liked it all the way up until the very, very end. And that's because they had so much plot to really go with, and those quick edits when the kids are attacking the car and stuff, that was where I feel like you saw the lack of experience, because it's really tough to film action. It's, as Kevin Smith always jokes about, it's like you can write great dialogue and just put a camera in front of two very capable actors and just let them talk and have a successful feature. Unfortunately, it's that sort of camera movement. It's, you know, figuring out the best way to edit all of that stuff. That is where the challenges present themselves, as you guys just saw with the last few minutes of this less than 20-minute film. So, yes, it's an interesting accomplishment in my estimation, and man, maybe even a little bit better in some ways than a few of those horrible sequels that we have seen. But I actually dig Disciples of the Crow. I thought the acting, despite you know, being a little hammy from our two leads once we finally get to them, I thought the kids were accordingly creepy. I thought the set design, and yes, we don't really get excessive kills or anything you see with the corn cob and stabbing situation, the immediate cutaway. So it is what it is in that regard. But as far as a student film goes, as far as something that was made within the constraints of the dollar baby, I think this is something to just celebrate, and it was a impressive first attempt for Goodman. Unfortunately, he only went on to do 2 other features over the years, but nonetheless, I mean, this is something that it had a physical release, which is really dope, even if it's tough to track down, and it lives eternally on the internet, as you guys just saw. So that is something I'm sorry, I just can't get over the fact that they say, you know, it's Stephen King's Night Shift collection, and yet, since there were others that were trying to be produced around this time, and I'm gonna have a second, kind of a sister or sibling video to this, where I am gonna talk that Russian version of Battleground that was put together, and you guys will be able to watch that as well. Also, The Lawnmower Man, which came out, I believe, also in 1987, the same year that we got The Last Rung on the Ladder, which is really, really accomplished. And, you know, that's another one that's been made a few times, and I think still sits on the potential dollar baby list. And so, yes, there are others that we will talk about in the follow-up video to this, but at least as far as those that received physical releases, we come to the finale, and it is the longest, and it is what started a very accomplished career. Although, ironically enough, as prolific as Frank Darabont is, who directed The Woman in the Room, which is included on this same cassette VHS that has the Boogeyman, it's interesting because he hasn't directed a lot of stuff. Really hasn't, you know. I know he did the Majestic, the one with Jim Carrey, if I remember correctly, and then his two iconic Sai King adaptations being, you know, first and foremost, Shawshank Redemption, which really put him on the map, and then actually 3 Sai King adaptations, Derpy Fuego, what am I saying? How could I forget The Mist, which is maybe my favorite, you know, with how campy and corny and iconic it is, especially watch the black and white version. But obviously the Green Mile is incredibly celebrated as well and received a lot of awards attention. But this is where it all started. 1984 and the Dollar Baby program, and this is one that will break your friggin' heart, okay? The short story is very effective, but just there is something to seeing the visual aspect of a loved one on their deathbed that elevates the storytelling, in my estimation. And you've got this character, Johnny, and he's arguing at one point later in the film with a sibling that has not come and, you know, just visited their mother, who is dying from cancer at the time. And, you know, the performances, the accomplishment of how it is shot, the editing, everything in this adaptation is just so good. And you know very well, if you have any familiarity with what happened with Sai King's mother and how she passed and how she knew something was very wrong with her body and she did not go and consult a doctor. She was just that scared and that worried. There is so much of that in this adaptation, right around 30 minutes. So let's check it out right now, and then I'll give some thoughts afterwards.
Ma?
I don't think you better see me today, Johnny. I'm not so good today. Maybe I'll be better tomorrow.
What's the matter?
It itches. I itch all over. I've never been in a fix like this before. I can't move anything and my nose itches. Isn't that a pitiful way to be, with your nose itching and not able to scratch it?
Mama?
I think I'm crying. I don't mean to in front of you. I wish I was out of this. I'd do anything to be out of this.
Don't say that, Mom.
It's true. I wish it were over. I feel so much pain.
The doctor said the operation would take your pain away.
It's still there. I can feel it. Doctor says it shouldn't, but I do.
Maybe I could talk to him again.
He might listen to you, Johnny.
Would you like a smoke?
Could I have a drink of water first? I'm dry as a bone.
Sure. Ma, I brought something from your house, from your medicine chest. It's for the pain.
Thank you, Johnny. What is it?
It's aspirin.
I'm sure I still have some left from the last time you brought it. In the Sucrets box in my nightstand, remember?
Oh, sure. Sure, I remember. Want that smoke now?
If it's not too much trouble, then you better go. I had to live 60 years. So my son could hold my cigarette for me.
I don't mind. Mama?
Johnny?
Emma, it's me.
How long have you been here?
Not long.
think I better go. Let you sleep.
Hi, Kevin. How's it going? Listen, I saw Mom today. Well, it's pretty bad. I don't think she's going to make it. Well, she says she still has pain. I know what the operation was supposed to do, but she says she still has pain. Yeah, I talked to the doctor. He says he can't do anything else for her, and all we can do is just wait for her to die. Yeah, I know. I know. Listen, Kev, when are you going to come and see her? I know she'd love to see you. Well, make some time, goddammit. I know what you're doing is important, but we're talking about our mother, for Christ's sake. Tell your boss she's dying. Oh, that's bullshit. Yes, it is. You should see her once. Because it would make her feel better. It would make me feel better. Yeah, well, see what you can do. Because she's going to be dead by the time you get around to it. I know it's hard to deal with. I know. But just come and see her, okay? All right. I give my love to Cheryl and the kids. Yeah, I'll talk to you later.
Want me to leave the cuffs on him?
Turn him loose.
All right. Counselor, good of you to come.
Sorry I'm late.
That's okay. I ain't going nowhere.
Care to join me?
Jeez, man, you look like shit. What, you got some broad keeping you up nights?
No, not exactly. I've just been a little preoccupied.
What with?
My mother. She's dying.
Of what?
Cancer. Abdominal cancer.
Tough break.
Yeah, I guess it is.
Well, what are they doing for her?
Well, not a hell of a lot, you ask me. They gave her a cordotomy yesterday.
Cordotomy? Yeah, I know about those. It's supposed to take away the pain.
How'd you know that?
Yeah, a buddy of mine in Nam got both his legs blown to shit by a booby trap. The problem was, he was lying in a puddle of mud for about an hour before we could get to him. So by the time I pulled him into a chopper, why, he had maggots crawling under his skin. Gangrene started killing him. Slowly. And the pain was just too much, so they gave him a cordotomy. Stuck a needle in his brain and just short-circuited his pain. Short-circuited just about everything else with it.
That's what they did to my mother.
Too bad.
She can't walk anymore. She says she still has pain.
Yeah. But that's not what we came to talk about, is it?
No.
I hear they're talking the death sentence.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Well, it's not your fault. Guess that old judge just took a disliking to me.
Ah, that's another thing I wanted to talk to you about. The judge mentioned to me that he would prefer it if you were to dress a little nicer in his courtroom. With the cameras.
Well, what about my execution? You want me to wear a tux?
Yeah, I bought you this.
No shit. I'm touch.
Yeah, it was on sale. At Thrifty's.
Well, it's the thought. But do you think the color is me?
You just do me a favor and wear it.
You think it's going to make a difference?
No, but it may make the judge happy.
Well, how does this look?
It's very becoming. Pick it up from the bailiff. I wouldn't want you to hang yourself in your cell or anything.
Oh, perish the thought. So, is this all we have in the way of a defense tactic? A cheap tie?
No, not exactly. I have been doing a little thinking, and it's not too late to change your plea, you know.
To what?
Insanity.
Don't do me any favors.
I'm afraid it may be our only hope.
Do you think I'm crazy?
Doesn't matter what I think. I think I could sell it to the jury. I could bring up your experiences in Vietnam.
Yeah? Tell them I'm nuts because of what went down in Nam? Thanks, but no thanks.
Why not?
Because it's bullshit. That's why not.
Look, if you'd just be willing to go along with me.
I've had it up to here with this crazed veteran crap off of the Late Show. I ain't no crazed veteran. I'm a professional. I'm a professional!
All I'm saying
is I ain't no sideshow freak.
I never said you were.
Then don't parade me around like one. Look, no one ever came back crazy from Nam and wasn't crazy to begin with.
All right. Where does that leave you?
Well, you're the lawyer, you figure it out.
Come on, man. You know I can't do anything to help you unless you help me first. Let me ask you a question.
Okay, shoot.
How many people have you killed in your lifetime?
Including the war.
Uh-huh.
You lose count.
Out of all those times, what did it feel like?
Feel like? Jesus, you're beginning to sound like the prison shrink they send in here twice a week. Guy comes in here with Freud in one hand, his dick in the other, and he asks the same stupid questions. What does it feel like to kill somebody? Did it ever give you a hard-on? Hey, it's nothing special, okay? It never did give me a hard-on.
So it was always just a job to you?
Yeah. During the war, after, always a job. Never felt one way or the other about it. Just got good at it.
But it never meant anything.
Once. Just once. Never go through that again. Not worth it.
What happened?
Killed a friend of mine.
I don't understand.
It was that buddy of mine I told you about. When I got his legs blown away.
You killed him?
Yeah. He was my buddy. And I wasn't about to let him die of gangrene like that. After what the doctors did to him. Lying there, gaping his mouth open and shut like some kind of fish they dragged out of the water. Hell, he saved my life once. I owed him. What's the matter, counselor? You don't look so good.
No. I just think I need a little air.
Yeah, you look pale.
Look, we're scheduled for 8 a.m. Monday. You'd do us a favor and get a shave and wear the tie, and would you please think about what I said?
And would you get some rest? You look terrible. And why don't you swear off the cigarettes, too? You're ruining your health.
Look who's talking.
Well, you think if I quit, I'll live longer?
Monday.
Yeah. Take care. And give my best to your mom. Counselor.
think it was the year Dad died. I think I was 5. I remember Kevin wasn't born yet. Dad was home on furlough. He had a couple of weeks free. You remember that? The 3 of us went to Pacific Ocean Park when it was still there. God, you remember that place? Carousel, Ferris wheel, cotton candy. I was between the 2 of you all day, holding on to both your hands. I remember how handsome Dad looked in his uniform. Had all these shiny buttons up the front, brass, I think. They'd catch the sun and shine all around. I remember being very proud having both of you there that day. You are looking better tonight.
Am I?
Mm-hmm. How do you feel?
Oh, not so good. Not so good tonight.
Let me see you move your right hand. Did you see the doctor today?
Yes, he came in. He's good to come as often as he does. Could you give me a little water, please, Johnny? You're good to come as often as you do, Johnny. You're a good son.
How's your left hand?
Oh, better than the right one.
Let me see.
But there's no feeling in it.
Let me see something. Do you still have your purse in the closet?
Behind my coat.
Can you take something out of there?
Oh, Johnny, I don't know.
Try it. For me. Good. Good. Your left hand always was stronger than your right. Even when I was a kid and you had to smack me, you always used your left, remember?
Last year, I was able to pull 2 full dish trucks with these hands. Can you sneak me a couple of aspirin, Johnny?
I brought you some pills from home.
Did you?
They're good for pain. It's an old prescription of yours. They're very strong.
Are they? Can I chew them?
I don't know. You could try one.
All right. Don't let them see.
Here you go. Does it taste bad? I won't.
No, not too bad.
You want another one?
Yes. Please. Will you see if my legs are together?
Yeah, they're together, Ma. Here. It's the last one. Take it.
I think I'll sleep now, John.
You do that. I always wanted to thank you for that day in the park.
You've always been a good son, Johnny.
I love you, Mom.
It's a heartbreaker, right? Yeah, intensive stuff, guys and gals, and all in between. And what a great and impressive thing to do, and to really sow your seeds and just get in King's good graces, because if not for the fact that Darabont actually made this, he probably would have not had the opportunity to turn Shawshank Redemption into what the American Film Institute considers one of the greatest movies of all time. So that is something to say. I had actually forgotten about the essence of him being the lawyer and his consultation with, this death row person, and really just having... He was already thinking about it to begin with, but when there is that little discussion and, the death row inmate mentions the fact that he actually killed a friend, and that was the one time where it actually meant something, because they don't really go extensively in this short into all of the crimes that he committed post-Vietnam, but that great scene between the two of them. And yes, even though the inmate, he kind of overacts it a little bit at times, I thought the dynamic and the discussion was really good. And those deathbed scenes are so rough, and just there is a sweet poignance to them. Really appreciate. And the scene near the end where Johnny is pretty much dead set on his decision, and he's talking about that day in the park. That scene just gets me, man. It really, really does. And it had been quite a while since I had watched this, and it's oh so effective. And dare I say, of the versions that I just showcased for all of you, it does look better on the physical VHS. on my television. But yeah, I mean, I'm just happy that these are available for people to check out and to just give the proper attention to. They show not just the fact that, you know, King is caring for other creators and for those who want to showcase his work in a respectful manner, but the fact that it's still happening all of these decades later is incredibly impressive, and I can't wait to actually cover and discuss and show all of you guys those other more obscure dollar babies from the 80s. And I'm not going to go any further than that because I've been trying to track down goddamn Sundog for a while and I can't find it online, which is incredibly aggravating. Maddie or anybody who has, you know, just access to, you know, obscure scripts or things of that nature, in Fuegotainment at gmail.com is where you can send any of that stuff if you are better at tracking it down than me. But I extend a grande gracias. I have been Jaime Fuego, and you can find moi on all social media sectors like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, here on the YouTubies, and yes, everybody, there is a lot more awesomeness coming in the foreseeable future here on Tale to Stephen King and just the horror show in general. You know, since the channel relaunch, we have really been trying to up our game and more obscure, more highly produced, just, I don't know, something a little bit more elevated, and I hope that, you know, I guess we'll see how everything goes in the copyright, so on and so forthness, but with these being dollar babies, I'm hopeful that this program can showcase them in their entirety properly. And yes, I am greatly appreciative. Once again, before I forget, Cujo is the book of the month, and this program is every Tower Tuesday, and the first Tuesday of July is when we will be discussing the expansion of Castle Rock and all of the lore and mythos and stuff like that. And yes, so look forward to that extensive discussion, and it will be live on the first Tuesday of the month. And the exact date is eluding me, but that is totally fine. Just look forward to the first Tuesday of July and that sort of book of the month discussion. But yes, a like, a share, a subscribe. It means a hell of a lot, everybody. And that's going to be the end of the proceedings for today. So until the Wheel of Ka comes around once more, hasta luego, sin amigos, constant readers and viewers alike, say thank you. I am hopeful we share more of this palaver sooner rather than later. And until then, remember to stay scared. And yes, read Stephen King, but I appreciate so much all of you tuning in and watching my discussions about these.